welcome to another episode of Fully Charged. Now, earlier this year, Jess Shanahan drove a Kia Soul EV 2,580 miles all around the British Isles. And I planned to meet her when she went really near my house, and I was poorly. So it's taken me this long to catch up with her to find out what it was all about.
We wanted to kind of do it as eco-tourists. We're covering so many, 1,000 miles that we didn't want to just go and, start polluting everything. So it made sense, not just on an environmental basis, but also for us to see if it could be done. It generated a lot of interest because we had a 100% electric vehicle on the back of the car. People coming and speaking to us. I think I must have educated almost 100 people, at least on the trip itself, just telling them about how you charge it, how far it goes, how fast it goes, that kind of thing.
And that was, so you were in a Kia Soul EV, which I must admit I really like, and actually is one of the cheapest electric cars available. So it's actually a very good pick, I think. Yeah,
I have to say I fell for it.
Right.
Definitely fell for it. We had kind of a list of cars that we wanted to do.
So you did kind of choose that one.
Well,
you went through a short list.
We had a company called Drive Electric come to us and say, we've got a Kia Soul EV, we think it would be perfect for the trip because it's got this slightly higher range compared to some. Do you want it? And we said, yeah. And I'm so glad because I've still got a soft spot for that car.
So the total journey then was 2,580, was that
yes.
right? 2,580 miles, which is kind of wiggling all across the British Isles and into Ireland.
Yeah, and into Ireland, yeah.
Right. So how many days did it take to do it?
So it was 20 days total. Right. So we definitely crammed things in. And if anyone else were to do Route 57 in its entirety, I'd say give yourself 3 months, not 3 weeks. Because although it was great, it would have been nice to kind of stay in some places, like going through the Cotswolds. Yeah. All we did was drive through and go, the scenery is lovely, it's so peaceful. But then we kind of moved on and it was on to the next stop.
Yeah. Because I've done like a day, I drove from London to Edinburgh, and it's quite tiring. You're sort of stopping every 100 miles or so, doing half an hour charge, doing another one. And I was pretty exhausted at the end of that, but you did that day after day after day.
I mean, there were some points, especially at the beginning of the trip, where we crammed a lot in. But as we moved kind of Northern England, Scotland, and then Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, it kind of calmed down and we had a lot less distance to do, so we could kind of stop and take our time. But when I first got the car, I had it in Norwich, and then the start of the trip was in Plymouth. So I had to get from Norwich to Plymouth
before we even started. That's not
count.
Counted in the 2,580.
No.
So actually, you did a lot further.
Yeah, a lot more. But that trip, when it was the second time I'd ever driven an electric car, was a baptism by fire. Yeah. It took us about 10 hours, and I don't think we needed to spend that long stopping, charging. But the places we discovered along the way, like the Jurassic Coast, Shower, Rainbow, these amazing cliffs, it was just, I was hooked from that instance. Like, I would have never been to this place had I not been coming to this charger.
And did you use ZapMap to find chargers? Is that the app you used?
Yeah, and it was invaluable.
Right, pretty good, isn't it? I use it all the time.
Because other people were kind of going on there and saying this charger's out of order. We knew which ones might be a bit risky to go to, so we were able to kind of make better choices based on what ZapMap said, and then feeling all like we were helping other EV drivers when we got to update something that wasn't working.
Oh, great. And then, so you never actually ran out on the side of the road in the middle of the night in rain?
No, we got very close a couple of times, especially when we hit 3 chargers that weren't working or that we couldn't connect to. But yeah, it was only kind of once as we were kind of heading towards Edinburgh that it kind of got a bit scary.
Did you get a lot of people saying, oh, this is brilliant that you've done that, it's made me more optimistic about electric vehicals? Or presumably you got a mix.
Yeah.
I bet you got some negative.
We still had people going, I don't know why you wouldn't do this in a normally powered car. But what I always said to people was, if I can do this trip, imagine how good this car will be if you want to go to the shops, take your kids to school and go on the odd adventure to the coast. Yeah. It's easy. The fact that there were a couple of times when we were kind of worrying about range or having to slow down, but for the most part, it really was easy.
Because then there's the other thing that I have been caught out with a couple of times, and actually it's never resulted in me actually running out, but a sort of extreme trip. I know I can do it. I know how to do it, and I did it on a Sunday, and I was doing kind of 88 miles or something, and I'm going, this is going to be, I've got to really push it to make sure I do it in one go. And then there was a road closure. Just on a Sunday, there was road closed, and then there was a detour. Oh!
Yeah.
So suddenly the 88 miles became 97, and I still did it.
We had a few of those as well.
Yeah, you must. That's what I was going to say. You must have come across road closures.
You hit kind of roadworks or an accident or something. You think I could take a detour, or I could just sit here for an hour. I'll sit here, turn the car off. It's fine.
But would you now consider getting an EV yourself? Is it on the? Oh, you would.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
But I would also still have my noisy little petrol car as well.
Right.
The EV would be the first choice for going to the North Norfolk coast, for going to the shops, going to see my parents, that kind of thing, and then maybe longer drives that can be more leisurely, and then I'd have some ridiculous petrol car to balance it out for long drives where I need to be kind of noisy petrol head.
Right, because I'm quite impressed because I think it would be fair to call you a petrol head without, we're not like rabid petrol head.
Yeah,
but, definitely.
I know I am. Yeah.
You like a bit of noise and vroom vroom, and do you like clutches and gears and things like that? Right.
Yeah. Although, when I got back from the trip and I'd given the Kia back, I've got an Arbath 500, and I got in that, and I almost cried. It was awful. I was like, changing gear, it's so loud, it's so small, it's so kind of uncouth almost. I soon kind of fell back in love with it, but there is these warring sides of me, and I think I need both to be truly happy with my car collection. I haven't driven now a petrol car for probably a couple of years with a manual car, and when I do it, if I rent a car somewhere, if I'm overseas or something, and I'm really bad, and I'm really old. I've been driving a hell of a long time. Like, oh God, sorry, and I stall it at lights. It's stalling it at lights. So I'm slowing down. I'm like, there's something else I should. Oh, I've stalled it.
Pedals.
This leg has something to do.
Generally speaking, though, you found that the charging infrastructure that you used, I mean, was it fairly reliable? I mean, when you got there, how much of a pain was it to use? Because you presumably used lots of different companies' chargers.
The only place where we struggled was in Northern England before we got to Scotland. And then we thought, if Northern England is this bad, then what's rural Scotland going to be like? Scotland, fine. Scotland was brilliant. Right. Ireland, the whole of Ireland was brilliant.
And was it? Yeah, because I wanted to ask about the Republic of Ireland. So that's good. They've got a good stuff
they're all owned by the same company. They're all government run, EU funded, and it's easy. They work every time you get a card. That was so easy. We needn't have worried about Ireland or Scotland.
What you did was a sort of very extreme example of use. Very few people do that in electric vehicles.
Yeah.
In fact, very few people would do that journey in any car because it's just barking mad.
Yeah. I think that's why when Jury's Inn came up with the trip, they split it into these like 10 sections. So no one's expected to go and do Route 57 in its entirety in one go. You can just do kind of Plymouth to London, or you can do Glasgow to Galway.
Have they all got, or most of them got chargers in their hotels? Or?
No, they haven't. They're all city centre hotels.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
And most of them are right next door to a car park that has a charger in.
Right.
So we could rock up into the city centre of an amazing place, go around the corner, plug in, charge it, and we're right in the action. Right. So it was. I think the reason that they wanted to do this trip is because they've got hotels all over the UK and Ireland, and they said, wait, we know everything about these areas. We could, basically create a route that takes in the best of the British Isles. And why not do an electric car to promote ecotourism as well? So it kind of came from that. And I'm glad they did.
Yes.
Because I got to go on an amazing adventure.
Yeah.